CTV News with Caroline Van Vlartigan.
Good evening. We have some sad news to report tonight about an international icon of jazz. Oliver Jones, the Montreal-born pianist who entertained audiences around the world for decades, has died. Born in Little Burgundy, Jones was known for his expressive and varied and often swinging technique at the piano. He began playing to audiences as a child, won numerous awards, and recorded dozens of albums. But he was also known for being a lifelong supporter of young people. Jim West, who ran Just in Time Records, recorded many of Jones's albums and traveled the world with him.
Sad for me, but it's sad for many people that knew him. He was, we use the word very loosely, but he was a legend and just an incredible person, always thinking of somebody else first, especially the youth in our community in Montreal and so on, always thinking ahead and thinking, it's just, even though we may have been somewhat prepared for this day, it's still a big shock, and he'll be missed greatly by so many people.
Oliver Jones died tonight in hospital after a lengthy illness. He was 91 years old. Well, today was a day of cleanup after what may have been a tornado struck the town of Harrington in the Lower Laurentians last night. As this drone footage shows, Environment Canada is still assessing what it was that flattened trees and damaged properties in the area. But for the people who stood to tell of their experience today, it was nothing short of harrowing. Sweeta Rassi was in Harrington today.
A camping trip that was supposed to be peaceful and quiet was anything but.
We saw the rooftop drop on her head.
It happened Tuesday in Harrington. A possible tornado hit the area. The family says it was terrifying.
And we just take my mother, the dog, the kids, and just stay all together.
I was thinking if tomorrow I'm gonna be alive. I was terrifying.
Environment Canada says the storm hit between 5 and 6 p.m. It didn't last long, but the aftermath is hard to miss. Broken trees littering the streets. The town's mayor says many local roads were unpassable.
But we have 66% of our roads that are affected by trees, mature trees.
Hydro lines were also downed, leaving hundreds without power. Environment Canada isn't able to confirm yet, but believes this was a tornado.
So we were in a very warm and unstable air mass, which led to the formation of multiple thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms.
So this tree fell on this.
That's exactly what Donna Hines thought it was going to be, just a thunderstorm. But when she got the tornado warning on her phone, she acted quickly.
We ran into the basement. I think it lasted about 10 minutes, but we just kept hearing falling trees. It was very scary.
Trees are scattered all over her property, damaging parked cars and her roof.
I'm still shaking. Like it could have been, nobody was hurt. That's all I keep saying.
With the help of her community, the cleanup has already begun. As for the family at the campsite, they say their vacation is over and hope the next one won't be this eventful. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
A new set of graphic health warnings is coming to cigarette packages across Canada. The new designs highlight the health impacts of smoking for both smokers and those around them. The images are the fourth set of warnings mandated by Health Canada since the year 2000, aiming to reduce tobacco use to less than 5% of Canadians by 2035. The updated messaging will be required on packaging by August the 1st. There is a very strong smell coming from a construction site in Point St. Charles, and people who live nearby are asking what's in the soil and whether it poses a health risk to them. Laurence Buisson-Dubreuil reports.
It's hard to describe.
It's really sharp. It's almost like fuel or something, or like asphalt.
It's a weird sort of plasticky smell.
But the odor has become hard to ignore for people living and working near this construction site in Pointe St. Charles. And for some, the concerns go beyond the smell. Several residents told CTV News they've experienced headaches, dizziness, and nausea, and worry about what they're breathing in. Sadia Khaled lives just steps away. She says the odor sometimes drifts onto her balcony. What worries her most? She says her toddler coughs when they walk past the site. The city says the odors appear to be coming from soil excavated during decontamination work. It says inspectors have visited this site and the borough is closely monitoring the situation. Montreal Public Health says it does not yet have enough data to determine whether there are risks to people living nearby, but it says initial air tests do not suggest an immediate health risk. Officials say more test results are needed to assess any potential long-term impacts. The site is currently closed at the developer's request, while authorities review the data and determine next steps. Once an industrial warehouse site, it was purchased by daycare center Les Enfants de l'Avenir in 2024. The land is being prepared for a future 200-spot public daycare. The center's executive director says they knew the land was contaminated, but not to this extent. In a statement to CTV News, the center says contaminants producing strong odors were discovered about 2 weeks ago. It says testing completed last week found those contaminants were below hazard thresholds. Officials say measures are being put in place to reduce the odors as testing continues. For some, that's reassuring.
Even if there was something toxic there, they got to remediate it somehow, so they got to get it out of the ground.
Others say they still have questions.
Hopefully there's some checks and balances about if it's decontaminated enough to have kids there or just anyone, really.
And even if the location is convenient, some parents remain unconvinced. She says she wouldn't feel comfortable leaving her daughter there. And until more results are in, some residents say their concerns remain. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
It seems that many truck drivers are fed up and don't want to work in and around Montreal. As Matt Gilmore reports, our potholes and numerous detours make driving an 18-wheeler difficult.
Stand on Notre Dame East, and you'll likely hear the trucks coming before you see them. Montreal's potholes aren't just an irritant. They're costing trucking companies money.
We break a lot of equipment, suspension, tires.
Marc Cadieux is with the Quebec Truck Drivers Association. He says most companies are struggling to find drivers willing to work in the city. The road conditions are one factor, the closures are another.
The construction, the narrowing of many streets in many arrondissements of the city of Montreal, the lack of space for our trucks to park on the street corners to perform those deliveries.
Taken together, Cadieux says it's enough for many drivers to throw up their hands. 15 years ago, he says a driver could realistically complete 5 or 6 deliveries in a single day. Now that number is closer to 3.
We deliver 7 days a week to those Provigo, IGAs, and Metro. There are 53-footer trucks at delivery at Metro and an IGA, even on the Plateau Mont-Royal.
He says he often hears people talk about using smaller trucks or doing deliveries at night. But to meet the city's needs, he says neither solution is realistic.
You would need 6-7 little trucks to do the same performance of a 53-footer. And now, when is traffic hour? I mean, at night. Our streets are the highways are narrowed from 9-10 o'clock at night to 1 lane.
A frustrating portrait of the challenging conditions faced by one of the backbone industries of the local economy. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
Premier Christine Fréchette suggests there could soon be a deal between Quebec and Newfoundland on Churchill Falls, perhaps in the coming weeks. Fréchette has met with the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Tony Wakeham. Wakeham says he wants to renegotiate the deal that was signed with Quebec in 2024, and it's believed he would like to get it done before a possible PQ win in the upcoming Quebec election. The PQ has said it would tear up the current agreement in favor of a much harder line approach. A social media account belonging to Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet has been hacked. In recent days, English posts have suddenly appeared on Blanchet's account, and there have been posts promoting cryptocurrencies. The party confirms that Blanchet's account has been hacked and is telling people not to click on any links in the posts. Well, despite an apology, a Quebec Liberal candidate has been dropped after controversial comments surfaced about the PQ and its leader. Actor Michel Savard said his comments on social media were unacceptable and an example of the culture of confrontation that poisons social media. Last February, he called the PQ a far-right aberration and described Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon as a hateful, megalomaniacal individual. He also called PQ followers small-time, insignificant Nazis. Savard was going to run in the Montreal riding of Gouin. And a former Montreal City Councillor and political commentator, Justine McIntyre, is running for the Liberals in the downtown riding of Sainte-Marie-Saint-Jacques. That's the riding that covers the gay village, and McIntyre says homelessness there is a major concern.
I think we have to start looking at prevention much more. What can we do to help people, to give them a path to be able to stop consuming drugs? But then we have to look at also all of the other risks and issues that could lead somebody to be in a situation of homelessness. It's not just drug use, obviously, although that's a factor. So we also have to look at mental health. We have to look at isolation.
The riding has long been held by Quebec Solidaire MNA Manon Massé, who is not running again, and the election is October the 5th. There are more questions today about the future of the Montreal company Good Food. The company continues to lose customers and with it, revenues. And the company debt has grown to more than $35 million, up from just over $12 million a year ago. The company has already and company executives chose to forego their salaries in the last quarter. A landlord who also happens to be a lawyer for the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation has been fined for rental violations. Jonathan Savard-Shaw has been ordered to pay more than $21,000 for illegally evicting his tenant. Last June, Savard-Shaw bought a triplex on Duvivier Street in Longueuil. He evicted his tenant, saying he wanted to live in the unit, but he didn't. He re-rented the unit and increased the monthly rent from $1,200 to $1,700. Well, Steve's Music Store is now officially closed, so anyone hoping to own a piece of the much-loved store or buy one last instrument can make a bid, but they have to do it online. Here's Olivia O'Malley.
Sounds of drums and guitars used to fill Steve's Music Store, but now those instruments are being packed up for auction.
Hopefully everything gets sold and picked up.
Everything left in the now closed flagship store has a lot number on it. It can all be bid on during the online liquidation auction.
Vendor Custom Shop, Buddy Guy Guitars.
The auction is on the Bid Continental website. It's a two-day event. Drums are available Wednesday. The rest, including guitars, keyboards, and recording gear, will be available on Thursday. The St. Catherine Street East location was open to the public on Monday and Tuesday. It was a chance to test gear before placing a bid and an opportunity to say goodbye. Vice President Michael Kerman says 500 to 600 people visited.
Especially a lot of the old-time customers who are coming in. Same set of emotions. You know, it was just home away from home. You know, a lot of people are coming here buying their instruments, dealing with the same person for the last 20 years.
Kerman took over the 62-year-old business after his father, Steve, died.
He was 18 years old when he started it.
In February, Steve's other locations in Toronto, Ottawa, South Shore, and the West Island were shut down. The flagship store was the last one standing until now. Kerman says several factors are behind the closure, including a changing music scene.
It's getting harder and harder. More people are buying online. There's a few boutique shops, but shops like our size that had the variety that we had, there's not many.
The family business has played its final note, but the music can carry on at home. The online auction runs until Thursday evening. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
Well, despite all the trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada, an American from Pennsylvania did something very neighborly while visiting the Montreal area this week. Over the last 40 years, Vinton Smith has donated blood in all 50 U.S. states, and yesterday he had a meeting in New York State near the Canadian border and decided to cross the border to donate blood in Saint-Bruno, Quebec. His message: you don't have to only donate blood at home.
Donating blood is an act of kindness. It's an act of kindness to our neighbors, to my neighbors back home in Pennsylvania, to my neighbors in neighboring states, and our neighbors here. And I think if we can think about that way, well, this world could be a much better place.
Even if we're on vacation, the patients who need blood are not in vacation. They need the same amount of blood as the rest of the year, which is 1,000 donations each day. So even if our usual donors are in vacation, we still need people to move and come give blood.
And Emma Quebec says the need for blood is especially strong in the summer, and they hope Smith's donation inspires other people to do the same. Still ahead, the dangers of drowning while trying to save others. A 38-year-old father of 3 drowned last Friday while trying to save another man who was swept into the St. Lawrence while fishing off rocks in the Gaspé. The tragedy illustrates the dangers of trying to save others who are struggling in the water. Here to tell us more is Reynald Hawkins of the Quebec Life-Saving Society. Reynald, I was reading this story yesterday. It was such a tragedy. This man was trying to help another man who was drowning, and he paid the ultimate price, and so did his family. Does this happen more than we realize?
Yeah, every year in Canada, we lost 7 person who tried to make a rescue with other drowning victims, and more than 50% of those realities, we lost 2 persons at the same time, like what happened in Gaspésie, what happened in Canal Lachine in Montreal, and on the beach of Verdun also at the beginning of this summer. So just for Quebec province now, this is the third situation we have. So you know, it is very hard to make any comments about that because we don't know how close they were. But again, I think we need to explain to everyone what we have to do if for many reasons we have those kind of new realities in the next few weeks.
You know, we love hero stories, right? And so many stories about rescues are due to someone diving in to help another person in a situation of distress. But should only people who are trained in rescues do this?
This is the preference we have to do. When you, maybe you like a former lifeguard, for example, or former fire person. So you receive the training when you're maybe youth or at the beginning of your career, but usually more than 75–78% of those rescuers or bystanders, they are not necessarily trained to do that. So, and we know in Australia and New Zealand, the observation they made since the last drowning report, they told us now they have double victim, the real victim and the bystander rescuer. So that's why it's very important to tell everyone what we have to do if for many reasons we saw someone lost in the rivers or lakes or swimming pool, because I remember 2 years ago a mother tried to save her toddlers and both of them they drowned. So it is very important to tell everyone how you have to be trained.
Okay, so what should the rest of us who are not trained in lifeguarding or firefighting, you know, rescue, what should we do if we see someone in trouble in the water?
So the first thing you have to do is call the rescue response. They'll dial the 911 because the time they will be there, more you can do that rapidly, more it will be fine. We have an expression, reach, tow, and don't go. Okay, that's mean, can you find anything around you, like a personal flotation device, for example, or a tree branch, or the pole, or everything you can have to reach the victim, because we can use also our clothing. And for sure, if the person you can throw to them with those objects, okay, will be help for the victim. And at the end, okay, we say maybe you can go in the water, but use again any kind of object, flotation device, for example, they can help the victim.
Yeah, I think that's a good reminder. I mean, so many of us probably have that instinct to want to jump in and help, but perhaps we're just complicating matters for the other person as well as for ourselves. Certainly a tragedy all around whenever this does happen, and someone who wants to do good ends up losing their life as well. Renal Hawkins, thanks so much for your time on this. We do appreciate it.
It's a real pleasure.
And still ahead, we meet the woman behind a hairy, high-flying act at Cirque du Soleil.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news. For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, after yesterday's strong winds, we are looking at more manageable weather ahead. And we had temperatures looking pretty stable with our low for the day at 18 and our expected high sitting at 20 degrees. Now, that is cooler than usual for this time of the season, but we could see even cooler overnight headed into tomorrow. We're looking at an overnight low of 13 degrees, along with a 30% chance of those showers clearing out. So again, that is expected to continue as we head into Thursday morning. We're looking at a wake-up temperature of 15 degrees, and then as we head into the afternoon, even clearer skies lie ahead. So mainly sunny, along with an expected daytime high of 25. And insofar as our futurecast, seeing that any rain that comes over the greater Montreal area is expected to hit at around 6 a.m. on Thursday. So keep that in mind. The good news is we do see that clearing out relatively quickly. By 9, we're looking at sunny skies in Montreal. And again, that is expected to continue into the days after that. On Friday, we're looking at a high of 28, so an even warmer day, feeling like 30 degrees with the humidity and that mix of sun and cloud continuing into the weekend as well. So on Saturday, we're forecasting a high of 29. Sunday could be a touch cooler with a temperature of 27, but we're still seeing that humidity continuing to kick in. So feeling like 33 on Saturday and Sunday. And come Sunday is when we could see some rain making its way back into the forecast. We're forecasting roughly 3 millimeters on Sunday, and then by Monday, so the start of next week, is when we could see some thunder showers. So keep that in mind if you're planning next week, the week ahead, looking at 5 millimeters on Monday, potentially 7 on Tuesday, and another 6 on Wednesday.
Well, the Cirque du Soleil's Big Top is back up in the Old Port for performances of Echo. It's a story about a connection between humans and the animal kingdom. And one of the performers in it is famous for her hair suspension act. Penelope Elena is an acrobat and hair suspension artist who can't tell us exactly what's involved, but she can tell us she learned it from a woman in Brazil during the pandemic.
Was super kind, and she explained to me how to actually do it. It was also via the distance and over video and stuff, so like I had to then do it myself and kind of like be like, okay, I just hope that this is gonna hold. And I remember my ex-boyfriend at the time, like we didn't have anything to hang it, so I just made him stand on 2 chairs, and I'm like, okay, just lift me up. So he was like, oh, okay. It was an interesting process going from trying it in the kitchen to then, yeah, being on the stage.
Penelope and her partner Charlotte O'Sullivan are the first to do it as a duo for the Cirque. You could marvel at them and their hair strength at Echo, which is in the Old Port until August 16th. And we're going to leave you now with some of the music of Oliver Jones, a lovely and talented man who died tonight in Montreal. His family posting on Instagram, an exceptional musician, a gentle soul, and a friend who touched so many lives. His kindness and immense talent left a lasting mark on so many people and generations, and his memory will continue to inspire us. Here is Oliver Jones playing and doing what he did best, playing music. Good night.